This is Surrealism in a Box, a postmodern, ahistorical look at hyperreality. If your paradigm's not shifted in 15 minutes, your pizza's free. Try our barbecue chicken deep dish. The pepperoni all looks like Michel Foucault's head, but it tastes like Derrida. Impossible? Not with our theoretical sauce. Instead of asking, what is the sauce? It's better to ask, what is the sauce not? Surrealism in a Box is sponsored by the National Council on Asexual Reproduction, which wants to remind you that if sex education is bad, sex must be even worse. Better not to risk it. This week's episode looks at exile. Webster's English Dictionary defines exile as removal of a national from his country of origin or civilized parts of it for a significant period of time. However, the movie version of Webster's English Dictionary defines exile as a one-man army hunting down the ninjas who killed his family. He is an expert in firearms, explosives, and lions. And he will stop at nothing. This time, it's personal. Now, which of these two very different definitions is correct? To find out, we asked Gerald Nagurney, a professor of linguistic anthropology at Harvard University, who has himself been attacked by ninjas. Now, Professor, what is the best way to define an exile? I'm afraid I don't understand.
Sorry about that. I was eating cake.
Is it chocolatey?
Extremely.
Oh, you're a lucky man.
Yes. Now to answer your question. Exile is as much a metaphysical state as it is a political condition. What I mean is that it is possible to be exiled from an idea of place as much as it is to be exiled from a place itself. And in the modern world, we'll find more and more often that this is the case. Are you eating my cake?
I love the texture.
Yes. The important thing to know is that in a world of increasing technological prowess and virtual reference, it is inevitable that most of our sense of belonging will be to a simulacra, a copy without an original, a place we feel attached to, but never really had a part in. And this means that... did you hear that?
Hear what, Professor?
That! Footsteps in the rain.
No,
There! You heard that! It's that bastard Exile! He's come to avenge his family. Well, he can try, but I killed his father and now I'll kill him. Come and get me, you son of a whore! I won't go without a fight! I'm a better man than you'll ever be! It's an old family recipe. Die!
The late Professor Nagurney's theory is interesting. Is the modern condition of exile one of a place we were never part of? Are we exiles from things we've only experienced imitations of? This is a complicated question, so we broke it down into a series of simpler questions. Do you like cookies? Are kittens fuzzy enough for you? Are rainbows pretty? Who wants to punch Hitler? You may think you know the answer, but so did the inventor of the knock-knock joke, and look how that turned out. A better use of our time would be to look closely at the art produced by exiles. This is both educational and tax-deductible. Some of the world's greatest poets, novelists, and philosophers have been exiles. Like Sigmund Freud, he was chased out of Vienna by the Nazis. Or Albert Einstein, he was chased out of Germany by Sigmund Freud. Or Martin Luther King. who was accidentally mailed to Australia after he was mistaken for his own commemorative stamp. Perhaps if we look at the artistic legacy of these three men, among New Zealand's greatest poets, we can get a better sense of what it is to be in exile. Sigmund Freud once wrote, "To whom it may concern, eating at Denny's was the worst experience of my life. My steak was undercooked, the waitress never even refilled my coffee, and you call this a salad? I am rating my dining experience extremely poor, and you can just bet I'll eat at the Steak and Shake across the street next time I'm in the mood for a late-night snack. I am leaving a copy of my book, Dreams and Their Relation to the Unconscious, as a tip. Your mother hates you. Sincerely, Sigmund Freud." The powerful feelings of exile in this comment card are a little overwhelming, but they're only one man's view. Exiled Algerian writer Albert Camus had a very different experience with a steak and egg skillet. Camus is frequently regarded as France's greatest stand-up comedian, and his novel Exile and the Kingdom is still funny today. The book is about a young girl named Amanda who wants to win an ice skating pageant but doesn't have the self-confidence you need to be a winner. But then her school is bombed by a terrorist who kills her parents and teaches Amanda to believe in herself. I won't give away the ending, but let's just say Camus is fun for the whole family and horrifically prejudiced against the Amish. Camus' thoughts about exile were best summed up in a commencement speech he gave at the Los Angeles Beauticians Academy. The man would do anything for money. Here's a recording of that famous speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Is this thing on? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to announce that Albert Camus is unable to attend today. I'm not entirely sure why, something about cheating on his wife. However, he wanted to let us know that he has already cashed our check and stopped returning our calls. I'm sure this is very disappointing to everybody, but as they say, the show must go on. So, here to give our commencement speech, and we're very lucky to have him, is the king of the ficus trees.
That speech had a major impact, and there have been ficus trees in America ever since. Maybe they feel exiled too. But there's one other important perspective to consider. I refer, of course, to perhaps the world's greatest exile, Albert Einstein, and his partner in crime, Elvis Presley. Here's Einstein and Presley from their hit 1957 single, The Theory of General Relativity, Heartbreak Boogie.
MC squared.
That's right.
C stands for constant. I'm gonna dance tonight today.
I'm gonna try getting to pay. That's right. That's right.
That's why you're the king.
How about a drum solo, Einstein? Oh, that's the stuff, Daddy.
It's easy when you understand physics.
But while the world best knows Einstein and Elvis as cult figure musician scientists, they were, of course, both exiles from their native Poland. History first records that in 1901 Lublin, the two opened Elvis Brothers Fine Tailoring, or as it's pronounced in Polish, GACH! Together, they would knit suits, caps, and fine hosiery for mere kopecks. Such a bargain they were. Then one day, in 1904, the two of them stitched together a guitar and a theory of gravity out of Chinese silk. At first, Einstein played the guitar, and Elvis determined that the speed of light was groovy. But they switched roles in 1905, after Einstein's theory that the treble clef blends space and time was proven wrong by the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Soon, Einstein was performing theoretical physics, and Elvis was performing theoretical rhythm and blues in music halls across Poland. Interestingly, these music halls were run by a pair of twins who moved in opposite directions at the speed of light. One of them grew very old, one of them grew younger, and neither of them got their taxes done by April 15th. It wasn't until 1962 that the IRS would accept the so-called relativity extension as legitimate. But by then, Einstein and Elvis had been chased to America by Cossacks and opened a furniture outlet. They had a series of scientifically tested, revolutionary commercials. Here's a sample.
Are Cossacks attacking you? Are they burning your home?
Then come on down to Einstein Brothers Furniture, baby, where we're slashing prices the way Cossacks slashed your mama.
This futon is flame retardant and provides cover from arrows.
You have my word that no one has ever been raped on this solid oak cabinet.
At Einstein Brothers Furniture, we accept your credit card with a simple formula. Financing equals money over time.
You can shop around, but you'll never beat the best. How about a drum solo, Einstein?
You got it.
Despite their success, Elvis and Einstein never forgot their native Poland, or forgave Frank Sinatra for carpet bombing it in 1971. About their experience in exile, Einstein wrote this: "You ain't nothin' but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothin' but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't never caught a rabbit, and you ain't no friend of mine." The world has never forgotten. But in the end, what is it that distinguishes the bad novels, overly political plays, and rambling poetry of exiles from the crappy art of ordinary people? What differentiates a Mahmoud Darwish from a Dario Fo? Don't pretend you know the answer, you've never heard of them. Some days it seems like I'm the only person who reads the Nobel Prize website. Culture is lonely. The difference between exiles and the rest of the world is that the rest of us look forward, while exiles look back. Another way to look at it, exiles know just where they want to go, while the rest of us are still stumbling in the dark. The trouble is, ain't nobody going nowhere. It must be true, I used bad grammar. Just like Da Aung San Suu Kyi. You don't know who she is either. What's a Peace Prize winner got to do to get some respect around here? Surrealism in a Box is sponsored by the National Council on Asexual Reproduction, which wants to remind you that intercourse is an ineffective use of fluids. With over 1 million kind of polyps to choose from, you can do better. Call for their free catalog. They promise no interesting pictures of any kind. Support is also provided by Exile, the movie. It's the most fun you can possibly have while the Palestinian people suffer. No exiles were harmed in the making of this film, although an Armenian waiter got stiffed on the tip. Does that count? It's so hard to know what's oppression these days. Tune in next week when Northern Ireland learns a very special lesson about trusting your parents. For Surrealism in a Box, I'm Benjamin Wax.